Do you want to start a business, get out of the office, achieve happiness and success while crushing life? This is Boss to Boss, the place to be for that extra motivation to get up and follow your dreams while learning from the ones who have already done it. And now for your host, Miro Wieslow.
What is up? How you doing? How you feeling? Welcome to Boss to Boss, your one-stop shop for all the tips and recipes you'll ever need to take control of your life and finally become boss. Today's guest, Robyn Williams, is a designer and illustrator currently working full-time on her online art business, Byte Size Treasure. Inspired by her lifelong passion for creating a childhood dream of being a marine biologist, and an obsession with drawing super cute and unique sea creatures, Robyn creates science-based art and merchandise sure to educate and appeal to the sea-loving child in all of us. In honor of the special guest this week for Shark Week, Robyn Williams, we have Christina Souza, our marketing guru head over here at Boss to Boss, on the show to give us a little bit more about our interviewee and how she met her.
Yeah, well, thank you, Miro. Thank you for having me and Robyn and entertaining my shark idea for Shark Week. So I'll give you guys kind of like the little rundown of how I met Robyn at MagFest, and for those of you who do not know what MagFest is, it's a music and gaming convention. Is it right, Robyn? Just correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, cool. I started doing that years ago, and it was just really, really cool going there, seeing retro games and pinball machines. And I love going to the vendors because I'm a girl and I like shopping. So I found Robyn last January at MagFest, and her booth immediately drew me in because it had all these like cute sharks. And I love sharks, first of all. And then it was just like the way they were drawn, that was very eye-catching, very, very cute, almost like, I don't want to say like kawaii, but like very, very cutesy like that. And I love the fact that she had like a lot of shark puns. So Robyn and I, we started talking, we had a little conversation, and I bought a few things from you. And I feel like my favorite thing that I bought from you, Robyn, was I bought a mug, and it's one of my favorite mugs. I literally use this mug every day. It's a black mug, and it has like a sticker on it, and it says Shark Bucks. It's a play on words, so it's kind of cute. And I think it was, I was reviewing all the things that we were doing for the podcast, and, all the changes that we're going through Boss to Boss. And I was having my morning coffee with, the Shark Books. And I saw it, and I was just like, oh my God, why don't I bring in Robyn? Like, I remember Byte Size Treasure. I like remembered her name. I remembered everything. No, not that I'm psycho or anything, but that's how much it kind of like resonated with me, that her stuff just really just drew me in. I'm like, hey guys, we need to bring this girl in because she used to, have a corporate job. Like, she used to, this is perfect. And what better time would it be? It's Shark Week. So I wanted to bring her in, talk about like her journey, because it's really interesting, and it's very, I just think it's wonderful that she just like went from that, and then, going into sharks. And the misconception, the people that know me know that I'm Puerto Rican and I grew up on an island, and I love sharks. We have a really good education with sharks because we kind of had to. But most people don't. And that's why I wanted to bring her on and talk about her journey and expose her art, because she's an amazing artist, and just go from there. Yeah.
And without further ado, Robyn Williams, welcome.
Hi, guys.
It's a pleasure to have you on. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you guys for having me.
Welcome.
So Byte Size Treasure, that is the business, the company that you run. If anybody wants to look it up, as you're listening to the show, it's at Byte with a Y, Size Treasure. And what's the best spot to find you at? Is that Instagram or?
Instagram or Twitter would be the best.
Twitter. Okay, great. So for those listening, if you want to, follow along to see exactly what Christina, meant by the pictures and all the designs and everything. Well, Robyn, you want to tell us something? Tell us a little bit more about what it is exactly you do. Something different, something we don't really know about you.
So I started doing an online shop back in like 2011. It was a
Mhm.
terrible little shop. I just kind of like drew some stuff and put it on some merch. And I rebranded back in 2013 to Byte Size Treasure. And I started doing like mashup characters. So like my nerdy blowfish, my sheriff whale, planetary blowfish, some weird, ridiculous characters. And then I think 3 years ago, I started doing some sharks. And now if you ever see me at a table, at a booth or a show, it's all sharks. I think my whole table is like 80% sharks now.
That's awesome.
So you took something that you were good at, right? And you pretty much ran with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I went to school for animation. I learned pretty quickly that I didn't have the attention span for animation, but I enjoyed drawing cute characters, and I've always been drawn to sea life. And so I just kind of mushed it all together, and Byte Size Treasure was created.
So from my understanding, at some point in time, you were working at 9 to 5. You were working a normal desk job, but you did venture into this entrepreneurial, world by, trying out these different, online shops. Now you're pretty much going full out, with Byte Size Treasure.
Yep.
When did you realize, enough was enough and you wanted to get out into this world? When did you want to leave?
So when did I leave so I was a government contractor for years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went into another full-time job. And then when I got laid off from that job, I started doing conventions. And I really enjoyed it, but I was just starting out. Nobody knew who I was. I really wasn't making enough money, so I couldn't sustain doing that because shows are expensive and the merchandise is expensive. Mm-hmm. And so I found another job, and I was there for less than a year, and I was like, this is not what I want. I want to go back. I want to do shows more. So back this previous April, actually, we'll rewind that a little bit more. In February, I had a really great show right here in National Harbor. And after that, my husband was like, oh, you could do this full time if you have more shows like this. Like, is that your okay for me to quit my job? Because I'm hooked on this. I want to stay doing what I'm doing. And so in April, I had a little baby show at a college con, and I knew that if I can do well at this little baby show, then I'm going to quit my job. And the following Monday, I put in my notice, and I was done. Like I wanted to do shows and online sales full time.
So you crushed it that good, like right away, that you're like, this is it.
Yep.
Run with it. Awesome. So did you know the whole time when you were still, working for the government and working your previous jobs, did you know you were going to do something like this eventually, or did you?
I had no idea. I had no idea. I started making some of those ridiculous characters back when I was at the government contractor, and they were okay. Like, people enjoyed them. Like, they're just silly, like little sheriff whale. It's silly and it's not really based in reality of any sorts. But once I started doing like real reality-based sea creatures, that's when I started getting people to notice me and notice my art more. And then we would just start geeking out at shows over sharks and other sea creatures, and it just became what it is today.
Oh, that's awesome. So I guess before you even got here, though, there had to be a mistake you made along the way. Usually the things don't go perfect. Usually something happens before we even get to a place where we can sustain a business, no matter what it is. Is there a mistake, something that you made that you think was crucial to you getting from where you were a few years back to being to where you're at now? Where you could actually be full time with Byte Size Treasure, and that's it. Like, where you're able to sustain yourself.
I think trying to mimic what other people were doing was holding me back. So I saw these other companies, like nowadays it would be like Pusheen is huge.
Oh yeah.
And Pugly is huge. Like, I was trying to do just cute ridiculousness, which is why I had, Sheriff Whale, Nerdy Blowfish. And I was just trying to hit a note, and I was trying so hard that I really wasn't focusing on what I liked. And I liked the whale and I liked the blowfish, but when I started doing the sharks, because the shark is my mascot, but he was just kind of like a generic shark. When I started focusing on the scientific aspect of it, so drawing him with the proper number of dorsal fins, the proper number of any fin, and then adding more sharks to that, that's when people started to notice my work. And since then I've added more, other than sharks, I've added more sea creatures to that, but they're all based on reality, and they're all, even though they're cute, they're still anatomically correct, and colors are relatively where they should be, minus the sharks. The sharks are every color of the rainbow. All the rest of them are, pretty close to how they look in real life, and that's really resonated with people. So I would say my biggest hurdle was trying to mimic what other people were doing, and not necessarily what I wanted to do.
That is such a great point to bring up. I mean, that's just like so amazing. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, I mean, Steve, you've heard that, where it's like, I try to, follow what other people do. And it wasn't until I decided not to do that, they break out of the shell, that's when you become successtal.
Steve's actually not on the show. He's just,
oh, sorry,
he's listening in. Steve is listening in. So I know you see his name.
I've been talking to Steve all day, and we're just like, he's probably laughing in the background right now. But
he is, for sure.
I apologize.
Surprised he hasn't said anything yet. But so Christina and I were going back and forth about this, wondering, why sharks?
So the biggest thing is I'm a sucker for animals that just have a bad rap. So like at home I have a pit bull, and I love my boy so much, but like I knew that sharks, aren't monsters, and they don't deserve that reputation. And they at the time when I started Byte Size Treasure, they just weren't, other than Shark Week, they weren't really represented in a positive light. I watch so many documentaries where they're still villainizing sharks, and it breaks my heart. So making the sharks cute but semi-correct, it was my way of being able to show them to people in like a positive light. And even I have people come to my table all the time, and they're like, I didn't know there were this many species of sharks, or I was always scared of sharks, but you made them so cute. I'm like, that's what I want. Like, I want you to be drawn in by their cuteness, but I want to educate you, and I want you to know that they're important to us, and they're important to our environment. And without them, we're not going to be here.
I think that's a great way to look at it. It's actually a common theme with a lot of my interviewees. They say, find that niche, find what it is, that thing you really, really fully are behind, and just run with it. I think a lot of us make that mistake. We want to appeal to the full crowd, want to appeal to as many people as possible, and hope that, the more people, the better it'll be. But that way, you're not always focusing on what is really important to you and what you're going to put your full heart to. Right. And that definitely played a major role for you, it seems like, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But it can't be a small feat, because obviously Robyn, the work that it takes, how many species of shark are there? Like, you know this question.
Depending on who you ask, it's between like 450 and 500. Most experts agree that there's about 500 or so now.
And for each and every one of those, like 500 species of sharks, like we all know the popular ones like great whites and tigers, and, my favorites are hammerheads, but you have to do research. Because a lot of and this is something that drew me into your booth and like sparked up the conversation.
So I've always been really big into sea life and marine biology. I was going to be a marine biologist. So there's a lot of knowledge that I have just from taking classes and my own time and preparing to go to college for it, and then never actually doing it. And then the sheer number of, I'm looking around, the sheer number of shark books that I own is a little ridiculous. But in terms of like when I do my sharks, so I think when I met you, I only had 25 species of sharks at my table.
Right.
As of next week, I'll have, technically at this past weekend I did too, but I have 40 sharks.
That's That's great. I mean, yeah, and you have to do the research on it.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
yeah.
There was one day where I spent 17 hours straight. Like I just worked, and I broke down the entire taxonomy of sharks and rays and skates, and their closest relatives, and breaking them down into their orders and families, making sure that I'm not just focusing on one family or one order. Like I'm everybody's represented. So it's a lot of work that goes into them. And then when I search a specific species, like I'm not just looking at one reference. I'm looking at through all my books, through all of these online sites, trying to make sure that they're as accurate as I can make them, but still making sure that they're cute and adorable.
That's awesome. Mira, what I was gonna say, like, what I love about her also, and this is something we didn't know. She has a Twitch where people can actually see her draw, come up with the designs, and I love the fact that Robyn, you do something very different. You have patrons, and you give those patrons a specific artwork that they're not going to find anywhere else. Like they're going to have something special about it. And I didn't even know until I saw it was part of you. I'm like, oh, you could be a patron. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know that. Yeah, so that is really cool.
So
Yeah,
can you tell us more about that? Just because
Yeah.
the average listener might not know exactly what that entails.
So Patreon is, in a nutshell, it's kind of like a monthly Kickstarter, but not, because it's not for a specific project. It's for helping creatives. So for me, every month people can donate either $1 up to $25, and they get rewards for donating that, and that money goes to keeping the business running. And then whatever you get in return is like my thanks for donating that money every month. And you can do it as a single month, or you can just be a continuous patron, and automatically every month you donate $5 and then you get goodies in return. So I give out downloadables, so like wallpapers, planner pages, coloring pages, goodies like that. And then like to the higher tier, you basically get like a subscription box every month. And I'm actually in the process of updating my Patreon, so I'm going to do like a Shark of the Month club. So each month I'll focus on like a specific type of shark, and you'll get all sorts of goodies. And one of the big parts about being a patron is, like she mentioned, it's sometimes you get stuff that's exclusive to the Patreon that you're not going to get anywhere else. And it's good for artists like me to try out new products that may not potentially work in the long run, or maybe they're just too expensive to do. Like I'll do some exclusive prints every now and then. I have a friend that has like a sticker making business, and I just do some like exclusive stickers, do enough to cover everybody in Patreon, and then that's it. I'll never print them again.
And your portions also go to, like, the profits go to shark and ocean conservation, right?
Yeah.
Tell us
So
more about that.
depending on how many shows I do now, because I've been doing so many shows, every month I take a proportion of my proceeds from my Etsy and sales at shows, and then I leave a tip jar out at shows, and then I'll take the tip jar and I'll match it out of my own pocket. I match it, and each month I pick a different nonprofit to donate that to, and I make sure that it goes specifically to sharks, since that's what most of my booth is, and that's what people are going to expect from me. So I make sure that it goes specifically to shark conservation and people that work with sharks.
Well, we have a Boss to Boss exclusive over here. Steve Wiley, our producer head, the other part of Boss to Boss. He's actually gonna join on to the show really quick because he has a burning question that he needs to ask.
Okay.
Steve, mic's yours.
Hey, Robyn, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. I've been listening in. I love it. I just wanted to ask you, you got into sharks and you got into sea life. I know you're passionate about it. How do you feel about the bad rap that sharks get in people's eyes?
I feel it's pretty awful. I still have, sometimes Shark Week will do some, they've gotten better over the years because it's been going on for like 30 years. Every once in a while they'll still do a one that I'm not super happy with, because it's like villainizing sharks, and sadly a lot of documentaries on Amazon and stuff are pretty bad. But I don't think people realize how integral they are to our ocean ecosystems, and how it's really going to affect us if they were to ever disappear, and just how many sharks are killed at the hands of humans every single year.
It would be great to highlight, what is it about their ecosystem? What is it that they do that they provide such a structure benefit to the ocean ecosystem? And you would be able to answer that perfectly.
So sharks are considered apex predators, most of them. Smaller ones are, mid-range in the food chain, but their biggest, well, like for the great white example, it's an apex predator. It eats seals and sea lions and larger marine mammals. It's an animal that feeds when it needs to. So they burn so much energy that they're going to pick an animal that's easier to catch. So they're picking the sick and the weak animals that could potentially mate and give off, that down the line is going to give that sickness to its offspring. So it's taking out, the sharks are taking out the weak links basically in the species, so the stronger can survive. If sharks were gone, seals and sea lions are going to overpopulate. The sick and the sickly are going to populate as well. And then those animals are in turn going to overconsume their own prey. So smaller fish, to the point where there's no fish left. So humans aren't going to have any fish to eat. Other animals aren't going to have anything to eat. And then eventually there's not going to be any fish left. And then everything is going to die. And it's going to throw everything out of whack.
Right. It's a perfect human nature balance thing. Yep.
And that's how it is for really any predator across the planet, whether it be sharks or something living in a jungle. We're removing these animals that are integral to our ecosystems, not thinking of the damage that it's going to cause in the long run.
And most of the time, when they bite humans, it's a case of mistaken identity. All the documentaries, everything that I've seen, it's like sharks do not typically go for humans. That's not in their wheelhouse of things that they like. They don't have a sweet tooth for humans. It just happens that we either are on kayaks or surfboards, and from a shark's perspective, we tend to look like a seal or one of the things in the shape of, a specific way. But yeah, so it's just a case. Most of these shark bites are mistaken identity.
Yep. You're more likely to be killed by a vending machine, a cow.
A vending machine?
Vending machines kill 30 people a year, I think.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Sharks kill 4 people a year. Vending machines kill, I think it's 29 or 30 people a year. You're more likely to be killed by falling out of your own bed than you are by a shark attack.
Wow.
And humans kill how many sharks a year? 2 million, something
it's depending on what it's for, it's between 75 to 100 million sharks every year.
All right. Well, that's some great stuff right there. Thanks for sharing all that, Robyn. That's things that we normally wouldn't hear on this show or ever. I'm over here mind boggled with statistics over here. I love it. I'm definitely gonna. I think I'm gonna definitely pay attention to Shark Week a lot more. Knowing this stuff, knowing this data, it's just gonna make me appreciate it that much more. So we definitely appreciate all that. But now, without further ado, we're on to our favorite segment of the show.
Welcome to the round with no name, because they're all taken.
Here, you're only going to have 5 seconds to answer each question. 5 seconds to at least spit something out. We don't want you to think too much about it. We can elaborate later. If anything, the producer, Steve, he's gone now, luckily. But otherwise, he comes down and he gives me a hard time. He threatens me. I think he breaks my legs or something. So let's keep it at 5 seconds.
Okay.
But without further ado, Robyn, what is your favorite book?
What is this book? It is The Complete Guide to Sharks, actually. It's a great book that I found in the bargain bin at Barnes & Noble. It's got a lot of really fun facts, and they break down by shark species and family. It's really cool.
I love it. I'm going to check it out right after this. If you were stranded on an island, what is the one item you want with you? And there might be sharks all around you.
A sketchbook. As long as I can have a pencil with it.
Awesome. Who is or has been your greatest mentor?
I'm going to say my husband. He's the one that keeps me going every day. Like we all have those bad days. When I think about, oh, maybe I'm not doing what I should be doing. My husband's like, no, you enjoy it. People enjoy it. Keep going. I wouldn't be where I am without him.
Is entrepreneurism a fad?
I would say no. I would hope that it would continue to go as long as humans are alive. If you can keep doing what you want to do and you can make money doing it, I guess just keep doing it.
How do you drink your coffee?
I actually don't drink coffee.
Oh, bummer. Tea. How do you drink your tea?
I don't drink tea either.
What do you drink?
Give me hot cocoa any day.
Hot cocoa.
Perfect. How do you
even
drink
in the summer?
How do you drink it? What brand? We want to know details.
Swiss Miss with a little bit of milk and some mint.
Awesome. I love that. Is there a specific brand?
Just the Swiss Miss. Yep, simple,
okay.
Simple and easy.
There you go. And then is there one product besides the hot cocoa that you consume every day or something you wear, whatever it is that just makes you different, something very specific?
That's
something
hard.
You can't go a day without.
Something I can't go a day. Can my computer be one of those things?
What's the computer you use?
I have an iMac and I have a Wacom Cintiq that I draw on, so I draw on the screen. I couldn't do what I do without it.
Oh,
It's
very
my baby.
cool.
It's my baby.
Awesome. Well, you survived. I survived. We all survived. Steve's
Phew.
not here. So those are some awesome answers. I know the listeners will love all that. But for the individual and us, you years back, me a year ago, sitting there, in that office working, that 9 to 5, we're debating, do we make that leap? Do we go out and become entrepreneurs? Is this even for us? Do you have some kind of advice for that person?
My biggest advice would be to just do it. Just go ahead and dive in because you're not going to want to regret it in the future. If I hadn't have just decided to just quit my job, I wouldn't be as happy as I am today doing what I'm doing.
Awesome. And for the Boss to Boss family, do you have anything you want to share? Anything exclusive for our listeners before you go? And any tidbits where we could find you and where you're coming up, in the future? Where could we follow you?
So you can follow me on Etsy, Instagram, Patreon, Twitch, all at Byte Size Treasure with a Y. I'm going to be at a lot of shows this year. The next 2 shows next month. Actually, I'll be at BlurredCon this month, which is right in Crystal City. And I'll be at Otakon in DC and Dover Comic Con in Delaware.
Any chance you have anything special for Shark Week, like a shark fact?
Oh, so here's an exclusive. I'm doing 10 new sharks for Shark Week. So you'll be able to, if you follow me online, you'll be able to see each of the new sharks all next week as they're being released. And I can give you the first one exclusive is my blue shark. I love my blue shark. And fun fact about blue sharks, they can actually give birth up to 135 pups in one litter.
Wow. I can say with a straight face, I did not know that 100%. Wow.
Yeah.
Mind
I
blown.
don't think anybody knew that.
And you mentioned your Patreon page. Can you give us the link to that one as well? Because I'm sure people would be interested.
It's Patreon, so it's patreon.com/Byte Size Treasure.
All right, that's Byte Size Treasure, everybody. You can find her everywhere, Instagram and Twitter, and then there's links to all her other pages. It's Byte Size Treasure with a Y. Robyn Williams, it's been a pleasure having you on. Thank you for taking the time out today with the rest of the team, with Christina, with Steve. Hope to talk to you soon. We definitely will.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me.
That is all for this episode of Boss to Boss. Your next step is to visit bosstoboss.com, where you will find proven techniques followed by professionals to help you make that next step. Again, that is boss2boss.com. And remember, the time is now.